borderline personality disorder gets its name from the original idea that this group of clients suffering from borderline personality disorder were somehow on the borderline, sitting between psychosis and neurosis, very traditional notions of the psyche. And that's actually quite an unhelpful way of thinking about it, because we've come to learn that borderline personality disorder is actually much more complex than that, and it doesn't fit very neatly into that type of categorization. So what we would look for is a range of symptoms, and clients presenting with borderline personality disorder will normally present with at least 3 or 4 quite serious symptoms, and within those symptoms there will be degrees of severity. Most people with borderline personality will have very low self-esteem and will feel very emotionally vulnerable. So very low levels of stress can feel enormously stressful, overwhelmingly stressful for them. We would also commonly see a series of unstable relationships. So that might be with work colleagues, family, friends, partners. That relationships that sustain don't seem to be experienced. So relationships can be very intense and very exciting and then end catastrophically. The steadiness of a relationship seems to be absent. And that emotional instability will be experienced by a borderline person as a kind of identity confusion. There will be times of great excitement and happiness, and times of bleak depression, and times of isolation and emptiness. Frequently when you're working with somebody who has a borderline presentation and you say, "How do you feel?" they say, "Nothing, I don't know." You know, there's a sense of emptiness, and it's a very lonely, isolating experience to be trapped into that world. Also, there's a diffuseness with it, in that they can become more like one person or more like another person depending on the company that they're in, and that can also be very confusing. And at its most extreme, they don't feel anything at all and become dissociated from their real selves and their real feelings, and have a sense almost of looking down on themselves. Clients suffering from borderline personality disorder can feel very fearful of abandonment. So they'll often be very clingy with their partners and with their friends, and they can be clingy in their therapy as well. They're terrified of being left alone, and they're terrified of losing people, losing significant people in their lives. And they also have a tendency to act on impulse. They have very low impulse control. So when they feel bad, when they feel unhappy, they might do things like take drugs, use alcohol, spend too much money on credit cards, at its most extreme, self-harming or suicide attempts. So we call it acting out, a tendency to do something about the feelings that they're having rather than being able to bear the feelings that they're having.